New Zealand has a very small population. We have a lot of land and not that many people living on it. Should we aim to increase our population? Perhaps we should. This would make us a more powerful country. It could make our economy stronger. It could make our military force stronger. It could make our global connections stronger. It could make our global significance greater. A bigger population would make us a more powerful state. A bigger population could benefit us in many ways. And we have the space to accommodate a much bigger population. We could easily accommodate 10 million people. There are many much smaller countries with much larger populations. There is room for growth. How could we grow our population? There are 3 methods of growing a population: having more children, more immigration, annexing new territory. The easiest way to grow the population is by creating financial conditions that make it easier for people to start families. At present, many people simply cannot afford to have children. Immigration is also an effective means of growing a population, although if not managed correctly, it can damage social cohesion and create political instability. Birth rates seem to naturally drop in developed countries. Immigration is a common means of compensating for this. The final method is annexation, taking control of neighbouring territories, either voluntarily or by force. This is not really an option for us. We have few neighbours. The few neighbours we do have possess very small populations and would most likely not want to join us. Of course, population growth is not necessarily desirable. At present, our infrastructure can hardly deal with the population we already have. Significant population growth cannot occur until this issue is addressed. We should not aim to grow our population unless we have the infrastructure needed to handle that growth. And at present, we just don't have that infrastructure. Our water infrastructure is failing. Our energy infrastructure has serious issues. Our transport infrastructure is a joke. We have a housing crisis. So population growth is not a reasonable goal until these infrastructure issues are resolved. Population growth would simply apply more pressure to these serious issues. This would most likely outweigh any benefits associated with a larger population. What are the arguments against population growth? One could argue that it provides insufficient benefits. Economic growth can be achieved through other means. Look at Singapore, a population the size of ours, but a far stronger economy. Population growth could help, but we can grow our economy without growing our population. That is just a fact. A bigger population does usually result in a larger military force, but many would argue that a larger military force is not needed anyway. And to the extent that it is, the current population is sufficient. These are arguments that some people may use. Personally, I think population growth is an easy path towards a stronger position on the global stage. I think that is an undisputable fact. But I also recognise that there are some issues. Infrastructure limitations in particular restrict population growth. And immigration must be kept at manageable levels if we want to ensure integration is achieved. So there are some essential limits on population growth, even if it is a sensible goal. It should also be noted that our priority should be retaining the population that we do have. Currently, we are losing far too many people to Australia. Something needs to be done about that. We have to create prosperity and direction. Give people something to stay for. Many people are concerned about overpopulation. This issue is almost always overstated. We produce more than enough food to feed people. Most issues concern distribution. Of course, population growth does put more pressure on the environment, but it is not as serious of an issue as some people seem to believe it is. I have always disliked the tendency among some to fixate on this issue. to treat humanity like a disease, and celebrate mass death events as solutions to overpopulation. These kinds of sentiments are surprisingly common, and reveal the ugly ideological consequences of a senseless fixation on these issues. I am not speaking about growing the population to 1 billion. 10 million within a few decades is a more reasonable goal. And if this is largely achieved through immigration, it does not require a global population increase at all. Although, as noted, valid integration and infrastructure concerns place limitations on immigration. Population growth is a complex issue. Who can say what the future holds? We shall see. What do you think of this issue? Should we aim to grow our population? I invite you to share your thoughts.